Morning, Fractal Effects team. Please read the disclosure. If you're following along with us today, make sure you do in a demo account, as this is for educational purposes only. We are not financial advisors, and this is not financial advice. Jump onto the charts in a minute. Got NAS here on the left, US 30 on the right. We've added a few things to the indicator. And keep in mind you can turn all these off in case they get a little too much for you. But we've added in the new day opening gap, which is an area, as we've discussed, the market is drawn to on days where there is no news. And we've added the new week opening gap. And again, you can change those colors or turn them off. So we're sitting inside the new week opening gap for US 30. And over here on NAS, just trying to find it, I think it's under us. That's right there at the aqua line. Again, you can change those colors as well. Another thing that we've updated on the indicator is you can see previous day's high-low with these yellow lines. They extend from previous session. So there's previous day's low, here's previous day's highs. So we had a downside expansion model, and now New York took out Asia highs. We bounced off the blue zone at New York Open. And again, that's not a coincidence. Look at that perfect wick. And the market shot up. It was a bit of a runaway market, leaving breakaway gaps. It hasn't really tapped anything. So that's a telltale sign it doesn't really want to let you in unless you knew exactly which direction the market was going. Now also keep in mind that we manipulated to the upside. So there's the manipulation range. Remember, the market, the indicator paints that out for you as well. It's right here, this green line, and the bottom of the manipulation range is down here in this green line. Meaning whichever side gets broken first, there's a possibility that the market just ran up to take that liquidity but actually wants to go in the opposite direction. So even though there's a lot of telltale signs here that the market wants to push down today, we're green across the board. We have a green box right now. And as far as US 30, same, we have a downside expansion model. There's more telltale signs that we might get a push from here. We're sitting right in the golden zone for US 30. And we're sitting inside that new day opening gap. Sorry, new week opening gap, I should say. So you'll see that abbreviation, NDOG, new day opening gap, and NWOG, new week opening gap. Now keep in mind, even with the manipulation move, once you manipulate to one side, you want to see the market start to turn back around. If it just keeps driving up and you have multiple breaks, for example, we took out Asia highs, then that changes your bias. Now, even though the market, I'm sure, will retrace, our bias is now more to the upside. And as soon as we get a bullish confirmation, that'll seal the deal for us. A bullish confirmation, a deep retracement, and then an extension is what we would be interested in. Still patiently waiting. None of our assets have confirmed yet. Remember, we wait for confirmation, then we wait for a retracement back to one of our key zones, and then an extension to one standard deviation. Right now we're using these two strategies, one on top of the other. There's the purple zone right there. So we're well above the purple zone, we're well above the blue zone. We just got a confirmation from GBP USD. 1 second. More interested in US 30 right now. A lot of telltale signs again that this thing wants to drive down from here. So as long as we don't get a bullish confirmation, this might be an interesting one because we're sitting right in the golden zone. We have a downside expansion model. And even though we've broken the manipulation range twice to the upside, looks like it's stuck here, right at the purple zone. So if we get a 5M, I see some fair value gaps driving down, and I want to get that confirmation to the downside, and then a tap. But if we get a bullish confirmation, again, don't go against your rules. It's a heavy news week. We're actually only live today. Tomorrow we have non-farm payroll, employment change. On Thursday there's unemployment claims, FOMC. FOMC member Waller speaks. That shouldn't be too big of a deal, but majority of these news events. And then on Friday we have, again, non-farm employment change, unemployment rate. So these days are fine to trade potentially in the afternoon, but not in the morning. So Mondays are good and Tuesdays are good on these heavy news weeks. Other than that, you should be utilizing your swing trade knowledge and looking for potential setups in the stock market, taking a look at commodities, things like that. We've added a blog section, but we're going to add a market watch going forward, and we're going to be adding in a lot of valuable information. Since we're not financial advisors, we'll be sitting down and talking to professionals that actually can give you that advice. So on the back end, there'll be information on what stocks, or at least what the analysts are saying as far as what stocks are bullish or bearish. They'll be talking about specific industries, specific sectors, and all of this is coming within the next 30 days. So all you have to do is log on, go to Market Watch on days where you can't see a trade setup or on days where there is heavy news. Then you just do swing trading. You go through the Market Watch, you look at all the news, you see what the analysts are saying, you see what their picks are, which will have all that information. Then you do your market analysis and you find your trade setups for stocks, commodities, things like that. Today is definitely one of those days. Again, we have a runner, literally a runaway market. We had a breakaway gap at New York Open that never got filled in. Breakaway gap, breakaway gap. This market did not want us to get in. Now it usually does that with the manipulation moves, so that's another telltale sign that we're going to get a deep retracement. Let's see if this confirmation sticks in the next 23 seconds. As soon as that confirmation sticks, all of our bias then becomes bullish. We're looking for a retracement back to the purple zone most likely. And then push. Stick a fib. There you go. There's your bullish confirmation on NAS. I don't like how bullish this is. I want to see it come back down to at least maybe even the 50. I want to see how it reacts here at the purple zone. Could just take off from here. There's a fair value gap down here, but it hasn't touched the 20 in a very long time. So until it touches the 20, and then I want to see where it touches the 20. It could be down here. But to be completely honest, that's too close to the purple zone, so I'm more interested to see what happens here. Remember, these are highly algorithmic zones that the market is drawn to and pushes from. So when it comes this close to it, you think it's more likely for it to react off this fair value gap? Or do you think it's more likely for it to come into this heavily magnetic zone, tap all these fair value gaps, and then decide from here where it wants to go? Because if we get rejection off this, then we're going up. If it somehow cuts through this, there's another even stronger zone down here. So now the indicator actually changes the color for you. The darker the zone, the more powerful it is. I'll give you an example here. This one's really tiny, so sometimes some of these zones that it paints out is very, very small. They're not all the same size. See this little sliver? That's the darkest blue, almost borderline purple. That means this is the strongest of all the blue zones. And as you can see, the market tapped it, could not get below it, shot up over it, created a second blue zone, market tapped it, continued up from it. But the darker the color, the stronger the zone. Same thing for the purple zone. So in the purple zone, that magenta color that you see right there, that's the strongest of the purple zones. We got a regular purple zone here. Same thing here. The market bounced, gesticulated, came back down to the blue zone, got over the purple, and then continued up. It takes a minute to get used to all these colors. Keep in mind you can always turn those on and just stick to our spotlight indicator. No confirmation on US 30, but as mentioned before, I'd like to see it push down. We are above the blue zone. First we rejected the blue zone, and we got over it. And so it's stuck between the blue zone and the purple zone. Now, anytime I refer to this magenta zone, remember that's part of the purple zone. It's just a darker and stronger area. So we're bouncing off that. It's another telltale sign that this thing could drive down, but until we get a confirmation from this, we're not interested. So why don't we jump over to GBP USD. So GBP USD just gave us a bullish confirmation. We're green across the board. Bit of a mixed bag. We had a slight downside expansion model. Same thing with GBP USD. We have not touched that 20 in a while. We've already pushed past the new day opening gap. I like to see the market come back down. Let's see where it touches the 20 first. It's well above all these zones. I don't know if it's going to retrace all the way down there. Here's our New York fair value gap. And it's sitting right inside the new day opening gap. Let's see if we get down that low. And then there's your previous day low and high in the yellow. NAS now slowly coming back down. I want to see it push past that 20. I want to see what it does in the purple zone, but let's see. It could just bounce off this zone. Anytime we get that big of a bull run with all these breakaway gaps, I like to see a deeper retracement, especially since this was the manipulation move to the upside. So all the tariffs have been put on hold. I believe there's a 30-day pause now on the Mexican and the Canadian tariffs. We're seeing some of that reaction in the markets. That's what's one of the driving forces in the markets today. So right now this is a fair value gap of interest. Let's see what the market does when it taps the 20. Let's see if it taps it in here. Again, this is GBP USD on the right, just to show you that the strategy works across Forex, commodities, indices, crypto, doesn't matter. And we posted actually a couple of good Bitcoin trades over the weekend. Feel free to check that out on our Instagram, fractal.effects. Still just patiently waiting. Because it's such a big range, even your golden zone, 61%, falls right into that heavily algorithmic zone where there's a purple zone and a blue zone. So I can see the market drawing down to at least this purple zone. 61% is right in this area. That's our measurement, of course, from London low. We took it just from New York open. Then your 61% falls right into that purple zone. Either way, I'm more interested to see what the market does here. If it does push from here, I'll be surprised. But again, a week like this, I'm just trying to see if the market actually offers any of stuff that we're interested in. Otherwise, it's not worth it. So we've had no early retracement for GBP USD either. That's why I want to see it come back down and touch this 20, unless it touches this at 20, and then maybe even comes deeper, down to the 50, maybe the end dog. That's where I want to see it. Slowly getting the push down from NAS now. Again, we're looking to see what the market does around here and into the purple zone. Let's see where the bounce comes. GBP USD, still just gesticulating here. Still just moving slowly. I'd like to see a displacement candle come all the way down here, tap this, need some movement. There's also a fair value gap in here as well. It's been tapped already once, but the market will use this to engineer new liquidity as well. There's some people that are going to be reacting off this, but as mentioned before, we have not touched that 20 EMA in quite some time. So I want to see it come back down wherever the 20 is at the time. But right now it's sitting in this fair value gap. Nothing of interest as of yet. We're at 11 o'clock, about 30 minutes left in our stream. Where our goal is to be in a high probability trade setup 1 hour after the range formation, so that puts us right at 11:30. If you're in a trade, then you can ride that till noon. Just make sure you're moving up your stops, etc. But you want to be out by noon. Still gesticulating at the top of the range. No other confirmations as of yet. Let's take a look at US 30 until then, real quick. It was looking interesting earlier. Still no confirmation, still stuck in that zone. Bounced off the blue zone. Maybe this will give us our bullish confirmation. Since we already had an early retracement, this thing could move quick. Could give us a bullish confirmation, tap into whatever fair value gap it presents, and then shoot off. As it is, yeah, it has not touched its new day opening gap yet. Let's see if this confirmation sticks. Seven seconds. Okay, so we have a bullish confirmation on US 30. We're right at the purple zone. We're well above the blue. Let's see if it creates a fair value gap, taps and runs from here. So for US 30, now we want to see a fair value gap be created, because there's none here. I don't see it coming all the way back down to the blue zone. This is a strong engulfing candle. First fair value gap, tap, and run is what we want to see. Two minutes, 28 seconds left. Let's see if this fair value gap stays open. I want to see this fair value gap stay open, tap, and then head up to the end dog. See if that puts us anywhere near. That's well over 1 standard deviation, I'm sure. Yeah, 1 standard deviation. That's perfect. That's the play I'd like to see. 13 seconds left. So now keep in mind we already did the early retracement. This thing could be moving quickly. So there's our fair value gap of interest. Just want to see a tap, and we'll drop down into the 1M. Remember, hit a fair value gap, create a fair value gap. Again, that's US 30 on the left, on the right here, sorry. So we tap that fair value gap. We're hitting the 20. EMA on the 1M. Now we want to see a green fair value gap be created here on the 1M. And then we'll take that, the 1 standard deviation. That's what I'm interested in right now. It's the only thing I'm interested in right now. Nas is just gesticulating back and forth. I'm pretty sure GBP is probably doing the same still. Now all we need to see is a fair value gap be created here and tapped. That's what protects us. Until we see that, this thing could keep dipping lower. It could touch the 50. Stick to the rules, especially on days like today. $33 left. We got about 15 minutes left in our stream. More than enough time. I suspect it wants to do one more swipe and tap that 20, but let's see. See if it gives us our fair value gap first. 6 seconds left. $28 seconds. See if this stays open. 10. One standard deviation is right under, or sorry, right above. Is that previous day's high? What is that? Let's jump back up to the 5M for a second, just so you can see that. Yeah, Oh, it's actually Asia. Asia high. It's 1 standard deviation. About 13 minutes left in our stream. So that would be your entry. Stop loss there, or 2 ticks under. After it gets tapped. Let's see what that looks like. One standard deviation, 3.9. I'd like to see it tap that 20 this time around, maybe. That's what we're interested in. There you go, right into the fair value gap. Want to see if it touches this 20, and if we get an engulfing candle. Again, 1 standard deviation. Right there. A lot of confluence here. There's Asia high. We're well into the purple zone. Let's make that green. purple zone, 1 standard deviation, Asia high. That's where we're heading to. It's 3.28. Six minutes left in our stream. Should be in profit. Now we move the stop loss as soon as we get to 2 standard deviations. So as soon as you get here, move your stop losses, take some off the table, and then you let the rest ride. Four minutes left in our stream. So this was the only high probability trade setup that we found, US 30. Jump back up to the 5M. So even though we had a downside expansion model, we were well above the blue. We actually had a mixed model as far as our blue zone entries. We broke Asia lows, but then we also broke London high. And even though the market manipulated upwards, the rule is if you break twice in the same direction. So here's the first break. We had a pullback and then a second break. When you break twice in the same direction as the manipulation move, then you look for a buy, and then we had a buy confirmation as well. Market retraced back to the first 5M since we already had an early retracement. First 5M fair value gap, tapped, created a 1M fair value gap, tapped, engulfing. Got 2 minutes left in our stream. I'd like to see it get up here, get into a safe trade before we conclude the session, but in case we don't, please hit that subscribe button, turn on your notifications so you know when we're live. We won't be live tomorrow or Thursday. Keep in mind, this is non-farm payroll week. You don't want to be in the markets. You only want to do a Monday and a Tuesday on non-farm payrolls. On any of these heavy news weeks, on a CPI, PPI, FOMC, as long as it doesn't fall on a Monday or Tuesday, that's fine. And then the rest of the week, as mentioned before, check out our blog section. We're going to be adding a market watch. So our goal is on those heavy days, you just check the market watch. You see what all the analysts are saying, what stocks are pushing. Again, these are experts. These are people who are licensed to give financial advice. So we'll be having a lot of material on the back end. And then you just do your market analysis, which we show you how to do in the Learning Hub. Find the stock you like, do the market analysis. You can be busy doing that when you can't find a trade setup. So again, we're still pushing. I think we will get up to the safety zone right here of 2 standard deviations before we conclude. 1 minute left. And then please check us out on Fractal Effects for Instagram. We're always putting up educational material. And sometimes the weekend, any trade setups that we see on the weekend. For example, we did Bitcoin this last week, so make sure you check that out. Just want to see across this line before we conclude. And there's your safe. Move your stop losses to break even. And ride that out to the 1 standard deviation. Take some off the table as well. That's where we'll conclude the session. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you guys next week.